Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to the channel. This is the BB66 Lite from FullSpeedRC. Features an F3 flight controller with an OSD, 6-amp 4-in-1 ESC, full speed branded 703 15,000 kV motors, 40mm props, 600 TV line camera with a 25mm VTX. It does appear to be 66mm. Bottom plate measures a little over 1mm. MCPX or PH 2.0 battery connector. It weighs 24.53 grams. I flew it mainly with these batteries, and I flew it a lot. So you probably noticed in the quick roll that I didn't go through what it comes with, and that's because Lewis sent this to me just kind of bare bones. So you'll need to check the website at FullSpeedRC to find out what comes in the package, because he asked me if I needed batteries, and I said, no, I don't need batteries. But one thing I did say was, hey, can I get a camera mount in blue? And sure enough, they got all sorts of colors. And then he came back to me and says, hey, do you want turtle mode? Turtle mode is where it's upside down, and then you disarm, you put on turtle mode, and then you arm again, and then you hit the direction that you need to, and it flips over upright. And so as you saw in that flight footage, he put D-Shot on here so I could have turtle mode. You are responsible for setting up the modes on your radio. They do have a few modes already set, but of course you'll have to line up to the switches. And I flew and crashed this a bunch, and you can see the props are all got stress marks all over it, but they still fly. This is the only set of props I've used, and they still work great. I believe these are from the Cheerson CX20, so if you're looking for more props, that's what it comes with, but you can also get alternate props that are the same 40mm dimensions. When I was chatting with Lewis also about the customization that he did, I really didn't want anything special for me because I don't want to review a product that you aren't able to get. But what he said was, if someone wants to order this from his website, FullSpeedRC.com, that in the order notes, just leave what you want. Like if you want the turtle mode to where it can flip over when you've crashed, or if you want a particular color or canopy, they'll do that for you. On their website, I think they show a couple different colors. So I don't know what the color limitations are. If you want to know before you order, I would highly suggest that you visit Lewis Lee's Facebook page, and I'll find that and I'll link that down below. But I think that's, Full Speed has been making a lot of really good products, and they are, I think, thank pilots as well. There have been some ridiculously fast videos that Lewis has been posted. He said in one of the videos that it wasn't him though, but they were flying in a parking garage and with the Leader 120, and it was just full throttle until they smoked one of those cement columns. They didn't post the picture of the results, but anyways, Full Speed, they tune their products. So, and that's, to me, that's added value. I don't know about you, but, you know, I enjoy tuning, but after a while, you kind of just, you want to get at least a base, because tuning is all a little bit preferential. You can, you know, the defaults will be fine for the most part. You know, you can make it better by tweaking the tunes and changing your PI and D values and setting your rates appropriately for you. But they do a pretty good job of tuning. I'm not going to say it's perfect, because there's no way it's going to be perfect for everyone. It might be perfect for a number of people, but at the very least, you've got what I would consider a well-tuned quad right out of the box. So you bind your radio to the receiver, you set up your modes, maybe you put in your rates, you charge your batteries, you go fly. And this one, you might have been surprised that I was flying it inside because it doesn't have a prop guard. And essentially what this is the, as the name of it would suggest, is the BB66 without the prop guard. And I would say if you want the prop guard, that you might want to order the BB66 and then ask them to include this camera mount instead of the pod that comes with it, because that's going to save you a fair bit of weight. The camera pod, I would estimate, weighs somewhere around 3 to 4 grams, and this is probably coming in at 1 or less grams. I do have one of his new receivers. Of course, you can't hardly find it in there. It's pretty tiny. You can see it's the white wire, that's the antenna, and then we've got the receiver down in there. This is the DSMX version, so if you're a Spectrum user, you can get that new receiver that he's got. I think it comes in about 0.5 gram, so it saves you a little bit of weight. You can also get FrSky and other receivers, or you can just get one that's plug and play, so you can use your own receiver. And they also, I don't know why this caught my eye, but they went ahead and they zip tied. That had to be a little bit of a pain to zip tie that antenna right to that tiny little post, but they did it. And, you know, the build is clean. I would say the soldering looks good. I really don't have any complaints. I think the flight footage shows what this machine's like, and my experience is good with it. Of course, I have a fairly large home to fly in, but this would be great for flying in parking garages, or if you have an armory or a gym or a warehouse or anything of that nature. This one or the BB66 with the prop guard, these will work great. The flight times aren't going to be long, and you can trade that off by getting bigger and bigger batteries. I think you can find them up to 450 milliamp. I've got a few of those with the same connector on it. But you're going to reduce the agility, so if you pick up speed, you're going to have to slow down before you go into a turn. When you fly with these particular batteries, that, you know, you saw it. I don't need to tell you about it. You saw it. I do suspect that it would come with this in the retail packaging. I also suspect it would come with a USB adapter like this, so you can plug it in. It's kind of necessary, because you can see there the space is very limited between the USB connector and the motor, so that's quite handy. They did put this in the BB66 package, so I fully expect it to come with it. I do what I typically do with these things. I use a loom band off of eBay, and I know some of you have ordered the loom bands and have kind of struck out. You thought they were not very good. Let me show you my package. These are called Twist bands, or I guess Twisties bands, latex-free rubber bands. C-clips, black. They come with these little things so that kids and young people can make bracelets. My girls have a set, but I got in trouble for using them, so I had to order my own package. So I use a little bit of Duralock, and this is the low-profile Duralock. I get this from finetapes.com. I buy it by the roll, like that. There's probably 10 meters in here. It's ridiculous. Or, I don't know, maybe it's 3 meters and it's only $10. I get confused, but you can get a lot of this if you want to. Otherwise, you'll need to find maybe a shorter length from another vendor. But even with just the Duralock, you almost wouldn't need a rubber band. It's not coming off. It might come off in a crash, but I find that with a little rubber band and a little Duralock, that battery stays on there very well. And I'll turn it on for you here so you can hear the D-Shot. For those of you who aren't familiar, D-Shot has different ESC activation tones. And and you can actually flash, I think it's 3 different tunes they have, and one of them Star Wars. Is pretty cool. You might even be able to request that from Lewis, you know. Say, yeah, I want that, and I want the D-Shot with the Star Wars, or, you know, look up D-Shot and tones, and it will tell you exactly what is available. And I find that pretty cool that you can get a custom unit. You know, if you have a particular color, I think you're always going to get red props, though. But you're only going to be able to get that if you order it directly from the manufacturer. And if you go through another vendor, which you can get these through other vendors, I think he has been trying to establish vendors in the U.S. S&N Hobbies is selling the Leader 120. I don't know if they're selling other full speed products, but you can check into that, you know, do some Googleizing around and see what you can find. If it flexes in a crash or something like that, you know, it probably saves us a little bit damage to our components. I will say that the one thing that I would do with this unit, I think to add some protection to this, I would take a little bit of zip tie or other plastic. I would possibly use a thicker zip tie than this. Yeah, I think I would use a thicker one. This is a real thin one that I use for the arms for ESCs and motor wires. This one is quite a bit thicker and much more rigid, but I would just snip off a bit of that, and I would clip off the fat end and some length, and I would glue it to this mount, maybe lean it back just a touch like this, and just glue it to the mount along the side using your favorite glue. I think you will have to be careful about what glue you use, because this is a flexible print, and you don't want the glue to eat through that. And then just kind of maybe lop it off about, I know this is tiny, you can probably can't hardly see it, but just above this PCB, because you do end up on the camera, because it is, you know, nice and proud, and eventually you would probably wear down the solder joint here on the ground for the antenna. Hopefully you can see that. This little blob of solder that goes around here, that's not a manufacturing defect. That's how they're made. That's how you get your ground. And then this is your actual signal, the little wire down here that runs down through the center. Eventually that could weaken and break, and to keep from that happening, I would suggest doing something like this. It's just gluing down one or more. One would probably help you with the turtle mode, so you'd always have one direction, but I think 2 might be the magic. And you're probably only going to add maybe at most 1/4 to 1/2 gram if you just use a short little bit of your zip tie. I did find the performance of the battery that it's likely to come with, that came with the BB66, it was very comparable to these others. I actually have the wrong battery out here. This is only 205. The tiny whoop from my LiPo, that is 255, I believe, and the Beta FPV, which is labeled at 260. They're all high voltage 1S batteries, and I think the one thing that 1S batteries have over all other batteries is when they're high voltage, they tend to still last, whereas if you get a multi-cell battery that's high voltage, the reports are that they don't last long. They end up puffing fairly quickly. So I wouldn't worry about having to have high performance batteries. I would just get one of these. You can find these from tinyhoop.com. You can get these from Amazon. I think you can even get the G&B off of Amazon as well. But you can always order more from the FullSpeedRC website. I've probably talked too much. I think the flight footage speaks for itself. There's no reason to listen to me. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please leave those in the section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.